From real to the surreal. Yes, this is the Cure Rockumentary.
I don't actually think that I've ever had that fixed idea that we could change anything. Well, I suppose the longer we've gone on, the more I've been aware that we are actually able to change things.
Seems to have like different points every member of like a family that you could wish for, really.
It's not work. It never has felt like work to me.
It's like a school gang.
Just 5 people enjoying themselves.
I just sort of fell into it. Very early on, when I was about 13 or 14, it was a good excuse. We used to be able to get out of certain lessons by going to the music room and pretending that we were in a group, and there's about sort of 7 or 8 of us. And out of that, there was about 4 of us carried on through until when we got to about 15, we decided that we'd try and arrange a couple of concerts. And that was Michael and Lowell and a kid called Mark. But the whole thing just sort of like tumbled and picked up momentum.
Don't cry. Boys, don't cry.
It was only really when Simon joined in 1979 and we did the 17 Seconds album that I thought for the first time that I was involved in a group that could actually do something.
After the Cure had done the tour with the Banshees, Michael, who was in the bass player, didn't like the way the new material was going. He thought it was a bit too gloomy and, like, stripped down. So because Robert and I were friends, Robert came round one night and just asked me if I wanted to join the band, which was very nice. And been in there ever since, except for a year when things were going a bit wrong.
The period of like 17 Seconds, Faith and Pornography always sticks in my mind as I always think of like Simon and me in that period. I mean, Lowell was pretty much a peripheral sort of figure in that musically and like lyrically didn't actually add to what we were doing. So the kind of antagonism that was building up between me and Simon added to all like the atmosphere and the feeling of those records. So I always lumped those together. The stuff, the Let's Go to Bed and the Walk and the Love Cats, and that was all I lumped together. Top sort of bit of an anomaly, it sticks out on its own. I don't really know what was going on around that time.
I went to art school after leaving them and just started working on the covers. And about the time of, well, it was the Top when I was working on that. And he needed a guitarist for the tour. I just said I'd step in and do it. No, I haven't gone out. It's a long tour.
when The Cure came over from Australia and they just lost their drummer, I think they'd sort of had various problems, had to be sent back to England. And I knew Phil Thornley was playing bass with The Cure then, and because he was engineering Thompson Twins stuff. So he suggested I did it. So I'd sort of joined them halfway through the American tour.
Yesterday I got so old I felt like I could die. Yesterday I got so old it made me want to cry. Go on, just walk away. Go on, your choice is made. Go on, and disappear. Go on, away from here. And I know I was wrong when I said it was true, that it couldn't be me and me or in between without you.
The nucleus of the group, with like me and Simon and Boris and Paul, have actually been together now since, you know, before the Head in the Door album. So it's a long time, and that's 7 years. It's actually longer than most groups exist anyway. So it makes me laugh when people say, oh, The Cure is quite an unstable lineup. And even like answering these questions about the people that have been in and out of The Cure, it's over like a 15-year period. So it isn't really that many, because I mean Simon and Paul left, but they came back. So there's still only been 6 people that have been in The Cure and are no longer in The Cure. So it's not too bad a turnover rate. I think.
Hi, honey.
Hi, honey.
Guess what I got?
What?
It's a lava lamp.
Look out!
Oh, well, we'll get another. Hey, what's with the MTV? It's okay. It's only a light.
I suppose I've been brought up to think if you don't look after yourself, no one else is going to look after you. And so right from the start, we didn't really sign contracts. We didn't have managers. We still haven't got a manager. We've never had a management contract. Just things because I always felt that if it was what I wanted to do and if I was enjoying it, I should be able to do it without the help of other people. And I mean, whoever's in the group at the time always like joins in on that sort of level. Everything's divided equally. Everything works on an equal level. But ultimately, I sort of have the final say, and that's like with regards to everyone, whether it be the record company or whoever. You know.
However I smile the most. So let me hold it up just one more go. Hold it up for just once more. One more time to fill it up. One more time to kill. Whatever I do is never enough. Never enough.
I mean, Robert's very patient. Really. I mean, we just, like, at rehearsals, we just tend to work together and sort of try and help each other to remember what parts we're playing, remember what instruments we're playing. No, everyone's sort of really easy to work with in the band. I think that's why we get, I think, one of the reasons why we get on so well.
Everyone's involved as much as they want to be. And so, quite often, Robert gets things left to him.
Robert obviously has the last say in songs, but you know, I don't really think there's a sort of power structure as such.
Since Teddy has been in the band, there's definitely a much freer atmosphere. Everybody's sort of really getting on well.
It's pretty democratic, the whole thing. I mean, there's nothing. It's a kind of lopsided democracy. There's nothing on there that I don't like.
finish, we all wrote stuff at home on Porter Studios, and then got together a couple of times and listened to each other's tapes.
And we just get drunk and sort of vote on each other's songs until we get, like, we had about 30 that we liked, and we started to demo them and cut it down to about 25 songs.
Also, the songs changed along the way as we demoed them. Everyone put in different ideas, and a few songs actually got written in the studio. It sort of came out a lot out of us playing together.
This is where I tell a completely different story from everyone else. If I was being really horrible, I would, but I won't. It's been the same since the Kiss Me album. In fact, the idea of, like, I mean, everyone just records at home anyway. I think they would whether or not they're in the group. I know that I would. And I suppose if you've hit on something that you think's suitable, you take it along to one of our listening nights. And the next day, I sort of come to, and I've got these sheets of paper with meaningless marks and scores in them and titles that I don't understand, and I try and make sense of it all.
Sometimes we would spend the night just rolling about on the floor. And I remember even though it felt soft at the time, I always used to wake up sore.
I have a feeling, just an instinct as to what I want the group to do. And sometimes it's really strong, and it becomes very concrete very quickly, and other times it's very vague.
So put on your head, put on your pound, cut the conversation, just open your mouth.
As with Disintegration, it was kind of different because I had a very clear idea of what I wanted the group to do, and that kind of limited the type of demos that were accepted.
Whatever words I say, I will always love you. I will always love
you. About an hour before each concert we play, I started to shake terribly. And, like, the last set of dates, or the last big tour we did, the Disintegration tour, I'd sort of would have leg movements on the stage, but they weren't actually me moving my leg, it's me just trying to stand up still, because my legs used to shake. But then, about half an hour into the set or whatever, you tend to relax, well, most nights, hopefully.
Your adrenaline starts to pump and you just get very excited, and you get out there, and before you know it, it seems like 10 minutes, 3 hours has disappeared. You don't see very much, and it takes about 2 hours before you actually stop buzzing afterwards.
Personally, I think I prefer playing live. It's much more immediate, and recording sort of sometimes can be a bit mechanical. My favourite track on this record is On the Edge of the Deep Green Sea, which I think is probably going to be one of the sort of best ones for me to play live.
It makes sense of a lot of what we do, the live performance side. I think as long as the group keeps going, we should play concerts, however infrequently, because it just makes it more complete. It's more satisfying. I don't think I'd really enjoy being in a studio band that just did videos and photos and did the occasional PA. I don't think that'd be very satisfying.
I was sure was a dream.
I remember a point where, before the head in the door, when I actually used to sit down every night and I wouldn't leave this little room that I had in my flat until I'd come up with something that I liked. Sometimes I'd be there for like 8 hours just sitting there trying to think of something. And I did that as an exercise, just like to, I was looking back, just to punish myself almost, but because I figured that if you got into practice the same as anything else, the more you practice, the better you get at it. But the weird thing about writing music is that isn't true. It's like because you can just have one good idea, and it's 100 times better than sitting there thinking, what chord should follow this?
I never thought tonight could ever be this close to me.
I'm not miserable, but you know, it's like it's unfairly weighted against me what I do lyrically, because I only feel moved to write words when I'm unhappy. The same as most people. I don't think it's particular to me, really.
Innocence of sleeping children, just still white and slowly dreaming sobs of time.
I don't know what he'd do if he didn't let it out, like, in his music.
Hit after hit after hit after hit. MTV's greatest hits. Classic videos by classic artists. Twice a day, Monday to Friday, at 1 and at 10.
Now, here comes the music.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1,
Not my problem. Not my problem.
More great Cure stuff coming up next with The Cure Unplugged.
People tend to overlook the pop songs. Whenever we play live, always in the first encore, there's always like a whole spate of all the pop songs. And if you just saw that, if you only watched that half an hour of a Cure concert and you'd never seen the band before, you'd have a completely different image of them.
show me, show me, show me how you do that trick. The one that makes me scream, she said. The one that makes me laugh, she said. And threw her arms around my neck. Show me how you do it. And I promise you, I promise that I'll run away with you. I'll run away with you.
I didn't really think the band would ever be massive, because I thought it was such a sort of, I don't know, sort of typical cult group in a way, because it didn't seem like it could appeal to a mass audience. So I was really surprised it picked up the way it did.
I think it's just everybody being honest with what they want to do and everybody else letting that happen. You know, if you feel like you want to play a certain way, everyone will tell you they hate it or they like it, but there's no sort of saying, oh, well, that'll be good because it'll fit in with what's going on now.
Why are you so far away? She said, won't you ever know that I'm in love with you? That I'm in love with you.
With us, I think we don't take ourselves very seriously as people. I mean, obviously we take what we do very seriously, but we never, or hopefully we never get pompous and think, you know, that we're in a group, we're special or anything like that. And I mean, we can't ever take ourselves on stage that seriously.
Sort of think, what does it doesn't matter, any of it just doesn't matter to me. So I don't care. I mean, criticism doesn't bother me, and nor does approbation. It's like, I just like enjoy what we do, and it's kind of like I'm just like going back into myself again. I can feel myself doing it.
Sunday morning, going slow, I'm talking to the radio. Clothes and records on the floor, the memories of the night before.
I asked to be introduced to whoever had made the that soft cell video. I think it's Bedsitter or something. Just because it was the first video I'd seen in a while that I thought was funny and it had a kind of like atmosphere to it.
It's really weird because with him, and particularly with him, like I'll hear a song and I really will understand it, and so we really do sort of work like that. So it's quite sort of simple.
At the time, we'd made a few videos and they were so awful that I thought if we're going to ever make another video, we have to do something that's so completely away from the way that people think of The Cure. And I wanted to do something that had really sort of like dumb humour about it.
Let's go to bed.
The very first time we met, we just sort of got on, really. We just sat and talked rubbish for about 6 hours.
He goes, blah, 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 I go, blah, blah, and that's it. So that tends to be our sort of conversation.
I mean, sometimes I'm still really surprised at how well they turn out. Not that he's not good, but just that in what he's working with, which is basically us, which isn't a very good raw material, he can pull out things like the Lullaby video or Never Enough, I think, work for us as a group, and yet have nothing to do with anything else that we do.
Don't struggle like that, I will only love you more. But it's much too late to get away. Turn on the light. The Spider-Man is having you for dinner tonight.
My all-time favourite will always be In Between Days, because it captures a spirit that was evident in that song and with the group at the time, very simply and very effectively. And I like the way I look in it as well. And I like Hot 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 because I think it was a good idea and it's worked really well.
The next one, Friday I'm in Love, that will change the way videos are made. See that one? It's still Tim Pope, but it's very different. It's really good.
I actually quite miss not playing on stage. It's a bit worrying, really, because I haven't missed it before. It worries me because I always felt if I didn't miss it, there would never be any problem with me stopping. I wouldn't feel like that kind of draw towards performing, and it seems to have infected me a bit. I don't think it's very healthy, really, because I've never felt comfortable performing, and I don't really think I should start now. No, so I try and lose that kind of comfortable feeling. Because it's such a good feeling when it gets to that kind of level, you can actually, you'll look up and you'll see all these people and you'll think, oh, they're all listening to what we're doing, and it can be, you know, it's like a very weird sort of feeling. And isn't that strange to understand why it's a good feeling and why you want to sort of like have that feeling again? But at the same time, I have to keep in my mind that it's unnatural. The whole thing is very unnatural because that has never come naturally to me. And I think that whole kind of thing, if you start believing in it, that you believe that you know. don't know, if you start believing in the wrong reasons as to why you're doing it, as to why you're there performing to people, you change and you become like horrible, like so many other people do in groups.
She's dying of your shame.
halfway through the show. Promises, promises, promises. Here's the Buzzcocks and Promises, and it's a number 28 in the charts.